The massive alien ships appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear, and the next, 12 crystalline vessels hung in orbit like massive diamonds catching the sun's light. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built, making the International Space Station look like a child's toy in comparison. In the United Nations Emergency Command Center, screens flickered with incoming data. Military leaders from around the world sat in tense silence as they watched their radar systems track the alien fleet's movement. General Roberts, a weathered man with gray hair and stern eyes, stood at the center of the room, his hands clasped behind his back as he studied the main display. "They're holding position," a technician announced, her voice steady despite the tension. No aggressive movements detected. The room's atmosphere grew heavier as a message appeared on all their screens, written in perfect English. "To the leadership of Earth. We are the Galactic Coalition. Your presence has been noted. Prepare to receive Commander Stone." Within minutes, a beam of blue light appeared in the center of the command room. The soldiers raised their weapons, but General Roberts motioned them to hold their fire. The light faded, revealing a tall figure that made everyone step back in surprise. Commander Stone stood nearly 8 feet tall, with iridescent scales covering his body, and 4 arms folded across his armored chest. His eyes were pure black, like polished obsidian, and seemed to take in everything at once. "I am Commander Stone of the Coalition Fleet." The alien's voice was surprisingly smooth, though it carried an electronic undertone from his translator. "We have come to address the threat your species poses to galactic peace." General Roberts stepped forward, maintaining his composure. "Earth welcomes peaceful contact with other civilizations. But I must ask, what threat do you believe we pose? We've barely reached our own moon." The alien commander's upper arms gestured to a device on his wrist, and a hologram filled the room. Images of Earth's military forces flashed by. Tanks, planes, ships, and then something else caught everyone's attention. "Your beast weapons," Commander Stone's voice carried a note of disgust. "Our simulations show that if your species reaches the stars with these creatures, you will bring chaos to the galaxy." The images now showed military working dogs, police K-9 units, and search and rescue teams. The aliens had somehow fixated on humanity's K-9 companions as weapons of war. In the back of the room, Captain Tom Walker shifted uncomfortably. As the head of the military working dog program, he knew these animals better than anyone. His own partner, Max, was waiting in the kennel just 2 floors below. These aliens couldn't be more wrong about the nature of dogs. "Commander Stone," Tom spoke up, unable to stay silent. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding about." The alien commander cut him off with a sharp gesture. "Our advanced AI systems have analyzed your species for the past Earth year. We've seen how you breed these beasts for aggression, train them for combat, and deploy them against your own kind. Such biological weapons cannot be allowed to spread beyond your world." The room erupted in murmurs. General Roberts raised his hand for silence, but Commander Stone wasn't finished. "The Coalition has reached a decision. Earth will submit to our authority, or we will be forced to take action to contain your threat. You have what you call 24 hours to comply." Before anyone could respond, the blue light enveloped Commander Stone again, and he vanished. The room burst into chaos as military leaders argued about their options. Nuclear weapons, conventional warfare, diplomacy. Nothing seemed adequate against such advanced technology. Captain Tom looked down at his phone, where a photo of Max, his German shepherd, served as his background. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity's closest animal friends were being seen as their greatest threat. He knew there had to be a way to show these aliens the truth about dogs, about the bond between humans and their 4-legged companions. As the arguments continued around him, Tom raised his hand. "Sir," he addressed General Roberts, "I think I might have an idea." The general turned, eyebrows raised. "Captain Walker." "Sometimes," Tom said, a slight smile forming on his face, The best way to disarm a situation is to show people exactly what they're afraid of. The next few hours at the United Nations Emergency Command Center were filled with frantic activity. Screens displayed news from around the world as people reacted to the alien ships visible in the sky. Some panicked, while others stood in the streets taking pictures of the crystalline vessels that sparkled like massive diamonds in the sunlight. Captain Tom Walker sat in a smaller meeting room with General Roberts and 5 other military leaders. His German shepherd, Max, lay quietly at his feet, occasionally looking up at the humans with intelligent brown eyes. "Show us again what they're so afraid of," General Roberts said, his coffee growing cold on the table. Tom nodded to a technician, who pulled up the coalition's surveillance footage. The room watched as images of dogs appeared on screen. A police dog taking down a criminal, military dogs patrolling bases, search and rescue dogs climbing through rubble after earthquakes. "Their AI has completely misread the situation," Tom explained, reaching down to scratch behind Max's ears. "Look at how they've edited the footage. They've removed all the positive interactions, all the treats and praise, all the moments showing the bonds we share with our dogs." A blue flash interrupted them as Commander Stone appeared again, this time with 2 other aliens. Their scaled skin reflected the room's lights, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. Max raised his head but stayed calm, following Tom's earlier command to stay. "You've had time to consider our terms," Commander Stone said, his black eyes scanning the room. He stopped when he noticed Max, and all 3 aliens took a step back. "You dare bring a beast weapon to these discussions?" Tom stood slowly, keeping one hand raised. "Commander, this is Max. He's not a weapon. He's my partner and friend." The alien's translator struggled with a series of clicking sounds before Commander Stone spoke again. "Our data is clear. These creatures show aggression patterns similar to the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Yet you've modified them, enhanced them, turned them into something even more deadly." "That's not true," Tom said. He reached into his pocket, making the aliens tense, but pulled out only a tennis ball. "May I demonstrate?" After a moment of hesitation, Commander Stone nodded. Tom held up the ball, and Max's tail began to wag. With a gentle toss, Tom sent the ball rolling across the floor. Max looked up at Tom, waiting for permission. "Go ahead, buddy," Tom said softly. Max trotted over to the ball, picked it up, and brought it back to Tom, tail wagging the whole time. The aliens watched in confused silence. "This is what you're afraid of," Tom said, taking the ball and giving Max a pat. "A creature who loves to play fetch, who helps us find lost people, who keeps us company when we're lonely." Commander Stone's upper arms made a dismissive gesture, a simple trick to hide their true nature. "Our simulations show that within 50 years, your species will spread across nearby star systems. You will bring these creatures with you, using them to establish dominance over other worlds." "The only thing Max would establish on other worlds is friendships," Tom replied, "just like he's done here on Earth." "Enough." Commander Stone's voice carried a sharp edge. "We've analyzed thousands of hours of footage. We've seen how you use these beasts to control crowds, to attack others, to guard your military installations. Some of you even keep them in your homes, near your young. Such reckless behavior cannot be allowed to spread beyond Earth." The alien commander pressed something on his wrist device, and a hologram appeared showing various dog breeds in action. German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Belgian Malinois, all working in military and police roles. "Your time grows short," Commander Stone announced. "You have 12 Earth hours remaining to submit to Coalition authority. If you refuse, we will be forced to take action to contain the beast weapon threat." He paused, looking directly at Max. "One way or another." The blue light flashed again, and the aliens vanished. Max walked over to where they had been standing and sniffed the air curiously. General Roberts looked at Tom. "Captain Walker, whatever plan you have in mind, now would be the time to share it." Tom picked up the tennis ball, a determined look in his eyes. "Sir, I think it's time we showed the Coalition exactly what they're dealing with. Not as weapons. He smiled as Max brought the ball back once again, but as humanity's best friends. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the command center's windows as Tom Walker presented his plan to the assembled military leaders. Max sat attentively beside him, occasionally glancing at the holographic display showing the Coalition's massive ships still hovering above Earth. Their entire invasion justification is based on a misunderstanding, Tom explained, pointing to the collection of images the aliens had shown them. Look at how their AI analyzed our relationship with dogs. The screen shifted to show a police dog apprehending a suspect. They see violence, Tom continued, then switched to another clip of the same dog later, playing with children at a community event. But they missed this part completely. Their AI filtered out anything that didn't fit their weapon theory. General Roberts leaned forward. And you think you can change their minds with just Max? Not just maxed, Tom replied, pulling up more footage. Their biggest fear is that we'll spread our beast weapons across the galaxy. But look at what they've never seen. The screen filled with different images. A guide dog leading a blind person through a busy street. A therapy dog comforting patients in a hospital. A rescue dog pulling a child from debris after a disaster. A family dog sleeping next to a baby's crib. This is what dogs really are, Tom said softly. Not weapons of war, but partners in making life better. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. The main screen switched to show 3 smaller Coalition ships descending through Earth's atmosphere. They're beginning their show of force, a technician announced. Ships detected over major cities worldwide. Commander Stone's image appeared on their screens. We have analyzed your global communications. His voice boomed through the speakers. Your leaders debate resistance. Allow us to demonstrate why this would be unwise. The smaller ships began emitting a high-pitched sound that made everyone cover their ears. Dogs across the cities began barking and howling in response. Max whined, but stayed calm at Tom's command. You see. Commander Stone's voice carried a note of triumph. Your beast weapons react to even our smallest demonstration. Imagine what our full offensive capabilities could do. Tom stepped forward. Commander Stone, you're making a terrible mistake. That sound isn't triggering any weapon systems. Dogs are trying to warn us of potential danger. They're protecting us. Yes, but not as weapons. As guardians, as friends. Friends. The alien commander's laugh sounded like breaking glass. Our data shows your species took fierce wolf beasts and forced them through genetic manipulation to serve you. You turned them into living weapons, and now you keep them in your homes, near your young, ready to attack at your command. Tom looked down at Max, then back at the screen. You're right about one thing. We did help wolves become dogs, but not through force. Through friendship, through trust, through love. He placed his hand on Max's head. Over thousands of years, we didn't create weapons. We made family. The alien commander was silent for a moment. Your attempts at deception are noted. However, he paused as one of his subordinates whispered something to him. Our sensors detect unusual patterns in the beast beside you. It shows no aggression despite our sonic interference. Explain. His name is Max, Tom said firmly. And he's not attacking because I haven't told him there's a threat. He trusts me, just like I trust him. That's not a weapon system, Commander. That's friendship. Impossible, Commander Stone replied, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Our simulations show. Your simulations are wrong, Tom interrupted. And I can prove it. Allow me to come to your ship. Bring Max with me. Let me show you what dogs really are. The command room erupted in protests. General Roberts stepped forward. Captain Walker, that's too risky. They could. They need to understand, Tom said quietly. Sometimes the only way to overcome fear is to face it directly. The screen flickered as Commander Stone considered the offer. Finally, he spoke. Your proposal is intriguing. But be warned, any aggressive action will be met with immediate response. Tom nodded, his hand steady on Max's head. You'll see, Commander. The only aggression here is in your imagination. The transport beam felt like stepping through a curtain of warm rain. When Tom's vision cleared, he found himself standing in a vast chamber aboard the Coalition flagship. The walls shimmed with an otherworldly light, and the floor beneath his feet hummed with hidden machinery. Max stood calmly beside him, wearing his formal service vest with Earth's military insignia. Alien crew members lined the walls, each holding what appeared to be weapons. Their scaled skin reflected the chamber's light in rainbow patterns, but Tom could see them trembling slightly as they stared at Max. Commander Stone stepped forward, his forearms held in what Tom guessed was a defensive position. You are either very brave or very foolish to bring your beast weapon directly into our command center. Neither, Tom replied calmly. I'm just someone who wants to show you the truth. He reached slowly into his pocket, making several aliens flinch, but he pulled out only a small bag of dog treats. What is this deception? Commander Stone demanded. Simple training rewards, Tom explained. May I demonstrate? After a tense moment, the alien commander nodded. Max, sit. The German shepherd immediately sat, his eyes focused on Tom. Good boy. Tom gave him a treat, which Max took gently. Programmed responses, one of the alien scientists announced. The beast is clearly controlled by sophisticated behavioral modifications. Tom smiled. You're partly right. We did train him, but not through force or technology. He turned to Commander Stone. Would you like to give him a treat? The alien commander's black eyes widened. You would allow me to approach your weapon. My friend, Tom corrected. And yes, Max, stay. Tom held out a treat to Commander Stone, who took it with one of his lower hands, his movements cautious. The other aliens watched in tense silence as their commander slowly approached the dog. Hold your hand flat. Like this, Tom demonstrated. He'll be gentle. Commander Stone extended his scaled hand, holding the treat. Max looked at Tom, waiting for permission. Go ahead, buddy. With exquisite gentleness, Max took the treat from the alien's hand. Commander Stone jerked back slightly but then froze as Max simply chewed the treat and wagged his tail. Impossible, the alien scientist whispered. Our simulations showed. Your simulations missed the most important part, Tom said. Watch this. He turned to his dog. Max, shake. Max lifted his paw toward Commander Stone. The alien leader stared at the offered paw in confusion. It's a greeting, Tom explained. Take his paw in your hand. It means friendship. The chamber was dead silent as Commander Stone slowly reached out and took Max's paw. The dog's tail wagged faster. I don't understand, Commander Stone said. The data showed aggression, violence. Because that's all you were looking for, Tom replied. You saw dogs protecting us and assumed they were weapons, but they protect us because they love us, because we're family. Another alien stepped forward, this one wearing what looked like scientific instruments. Commander, I'm getting unusual readings. The beast's neural patterns. They're showing signs of emotional bonding. Not just to the human, but to you as well. That's what dogs do, Tom said softly. They don't see enemies. They see potential friends. That's why we call them man's best friend. Commander Stone released Max's paw and stepped back, his forearms moving in what seemed like agitation. This changes everything. Our simulations, our preparations, they were based on an incomplete understanding. Sometimes, Tom said, giving Max another treat, the best way to understand something is to experience it yourself. He paused, then added, would you like to learn more about Earth's dogs? Not as weapons, but as the companions they truly are. The alien commander looked around the chamber at his crew, many of whom had lowered their weapons and were watching Max with fascination instead of fear. Perhaps, Commander Stone said slowly, It is time for the Coalition to revise its assessment of Earth and its companions. Max sat down and yawned, completely at ease despite being surrounded by aliens. His simple action, more than any words, showed just how wrong the Coalition's fears had been. After the initial breakthrough, Commander Stone had ordered the ship's main chamber to be converted into what he called an observation area. Tom sat in the center with Max, surrounded by curious alien scientists who had finally lowered their weapons completely. The tension in the air had been replaced by something new: wonder. "Show us again," one of the alien scientists said, her scales shifting to a lighter shade of blue. "How did your species first create these companions?" Tom pulled out his tablet, which he had brought for this purpose. "We didn't create them." "Exactly. Look at these images." He showed them pictures of wolves, then early dogs, then modern breeds. Over thousands of years, wolves that were friendly toward humans got more food and protection. They stayed near our camps, helped us hunt, watched over our children. Commander Stone leaned closer, his black eyes reflecting the images. "But our initial scans showed aggressive capabilities. The ability to track, to chase, to—" He paused, searching for the right word. "To protect," Tom finished for him. "Yes, dogs can do all that. But not because we turn them into weapons. They do it because they care about us." As if to demonstrate, Max rested his head on Tom's knee, looking up with loyal brown eyes. Another scientist approached, holding what looked like a scanning device. "Commander, these readings are fascinating. The neural patterns between the human and the canine. They're synchronized in ways our AI never detected." "May I?" the female scientist asked, holding out a treat Tom had given her. After Tom nodded, she offered it to Max, who took it with the same gentleness he had shown Commander Stone. Her scales flickered with colors that Tom guessed meant excitement. "Remarkable," she whispered. "The control is not through force or technology, but through trust." "Exactly," Tom said. He stood up slowly. "Max, come." The dog immediately moved to his side. "Stay." Max sat, perfectly still. "Now watch this. He'll stay there until I call him, not because he has to, but because he wants to, because we trust each other." Tom walked across the chamber, leaving Max sitting calmly despite being surrounded by aliens. Some of the Coalition crew members moved closer to the dog, their earlier fear replaced by curiosity. "But what about the aggressive behaviors we observed?" Commander Stone asked. "The pursuit of targets, the protective responses. Those are natural instincts we've helped shape," Tom explained, "but always with love and positive reinforcement. Here, I'll show you." He turned to Max. "Max, come." The dog trotted happily to Tom's side, tail wagging. Several aliens jumped back, but more out of surprise than fear now. "High five," Tom commanded, and Max raised his paw high, touching Tom's raised hand. The aliens watched in fascination as Tom immediately rewarded him with praise and a treat. "This is not what our simulations predicted," Commander Stone admitted. "We saw the capacity for violence and assumed it was the primary purpose. We never considered that the same creature who can chase down a criminal can also comfort a scared child." Tom smiled. "That's what makes dogs special. They're not weapons. They're whatever their family needs them to be. Protectors, helpers, friends." The female scientist had been rapidly taking notes on a holographic display. "Commander, this changes our entire assessment of human civilization. A species that could turn would-be predators into loyal companions through patience and kindness. Perhaps we have underestimated their capacity for peaceful cooperation." Commander Stone was quiet for a moment, watching as Max now lay on his back, enjoying a belly rub from one of the braver alien crew members. The crew member's scales had turned a soft pink color that Tom hadn't seen before. "Perhaps," Commander Stone said finally, "we should reconsider our approach to Earth's inclusion in the galactic community." He turned to Tom. "Would you be willing to help us understand more about this bond your species has formed with these dogs?" Tom smiled as Max returned to his side, tail still wagging. "Commander, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, in more ways than one." The next day, the United Nations Emergency Command Center had been transformed. Where there had once been worried military leaders planning for invasion, there were now excited scientists, dog trainers, and even a few civilian families with their pets. Commander Stone had requested a full demonstration of Earth's relationship with dogs, and the humans were happy to oblige. Tom stood with Max beside a large screen, addressing a group of fascinated alien observers. Behind him, a golden retriever played fetch with children, while coalition scientists took readings, their scales shifting through various colors of amazement. "What you're seeing isn't just training," Tom explained, gesturing to the various dogs in the room. "Each breed has different strengths, different personalities. We didn't engineer them for war. We partnered with them for life." A husky demonstrated sledding techniques on a special track, showing how dogs helped humans explore frozen environments. A border collie displayed its herding skills with a group of sheep in a temporary pen, amazing the aliens with its intelligence and precision. Extraordinary, the female alien scientist, who had introduced herself as lead researcher Morning Light, said while taking notes. "Each variant is specialized, yet none show signs of forced genetic manipulation. This is all through selective breeding and positive reinforcement." "Over many generations," Tom confirmed. "But the key was always the bond between humans and dogs. We succeeded because we worked together, not because we forced them to change." Commander Stone watched as a therapy dog comforted a stressed alien crew member, the crew member's scales gradually shifting from anxious red to calm blue. "Our AI systems were programmed to identify potential threats," he admitted. "Perhaps that's why they only saw the defensive capabilities, missing the emotional aspects." In another corner, a search and rescue demonstration was underway. A border collie named Scout quickly found a hidden person in a simulated rubble pile, then gently led rescuers to them. The aliens watched in amazement as the dog showed both intelligence and care in its work. "Think about what this means," Morning Light said excitedly to Commander Stone. "A species that can form such bonds with another life form. The implications for galactic cooperation are enormous." The commander nodded thoughtfully. "Our initial assessment was severely flawed. We saw their ability to work with other species as a threat, when in fact it may be humanity's greatest strength." Tom knelt beside Max, who was now wearing his dress uniform with new coalition friendship pins attached. "Want to show them your special trick, buddy?" Max barked once, then began a complex series of movements that the aliens now recognized as a traditional military drill, but performed with obvious joy rather than aggression. The display ended with Max offering his paw to Commander Stone, who had learned to accept it without hesitation. "Your stories of dogs saving lives," Morning Light said, reviewing her data. "They're all true. The guide dogs for the blind, the cancer-detecting dogs, the ones who wake their families during fires. All true," Tom confirmed. "And those are just some examples. Dogs help us in ways we're still discovering. They make us better, not just as individuals, but as a species." A small alien child, part of the first family group allowed to visit from the coalition fleet, cautiously approached Max. Instead of showing fear like the adults initially had, the child seemed naturally curious. Max lay down, making himself less intimidating, and gently wagged his tail. Commander Stone watched this interaction with growing understanding. "Perhaps this is why your species has survived despite your technological limitations. You don't just conquer or control. You connect, adapt, cooperate. That's humanity at its best," Tom agreed. "And dogs help teach us those lessons every time they forgive us, love us, help us. They show us how to be better." The commander's scales shifted to a new color, one that Tom hadn't seen before. "We came here fearing what humanity might bring to the galaxy. Now I wonder if perhaps this is exactly what the galaxy needs." As if to emphasize the point, Max stood up and pressed his nose against the small alien child's hand, triggering a sound that Tom realized was alien laughter. Around the room, humans and aliens alike smiled at the simple, powerful moment of connection. 1 month after the Coalition fleet's arrival, the scene at the United Nations headquarters was very different from the tense confrontation that had started it all. The Grand Assembly Hall was filled with both human and alien representatives, and notably, several dogs of various breeds sat calmly among them. Max, wearing a new vest that combined Earth's military insignia with the Coalition's symbols, sat proudly beside Tom in the front row. Commander Stone stood at the podium, his scales shimmering with what everyone now recognized as the colors of friendship and respect. Beside him sat a small golden retriever puppy, who occasionally pawed at his lower arm for attention. Members of Earth's United Nations and Coalition representatives, the commander began, his translator now perfectly tuned to human speech patterns. 1 month ago, we came to this planet believing we had found a dangerous civilization that needed to be contained. Today, I stand before you to admit how wonderfully wrong we were. The commander reached down to scratch his puppy's ears, a gesture that still amazed many in the Coalition fleet. Our AI systems identified dogs as weapons of war, but they failed to see the true miracle, a partnership between species built on trust, love, and mutual understanding. In trying to protect the galaxy from what we feared, we almost missed discovering exactly what the galaxy needs. Lead researcher Morning Light stepped forward, her scales glowing with excitement as she activated a holographic display. Our revised studies of human-canine relationships have revealed something extraordinary. The ability to form deep, meaningful bonds with another species isn't just a quirk of human civilization. It's a testament to humanity's greatest strength, the capacity to connect, to understand, to grow together. Images fill the air above the assembly. Dogs helping in hospitals, working in space programs, assisting in new Coalition research projects. The newest photos showed alien children playing fetch with Earth dogs, their scales glowing with joy. Tom stood up when invited to speak, Max following perfectly at his heel. A month ago, I tried to explain that dogs weren't weapons, but friends. Now they've become something even more, a bridge between our civilizations. They're helping us understand each other, just like they've been helping humans understand themselves for thousands of years. Commander Stone's puppy barked softly, making several aliens jump, then laugh as they recognized the playful sound. Therefore, the commander continued, the Coalition hereby extends a formal invitation for Earth to join our galactic community, not as a supervised member, but as a full partner. Your unique perspective on interspecies cooperation will be invaluable as we explore the stars together. The assembly hall erupted in applause, and the equivalent alien expressions of joy, flashing scales, harmonic humming, and waving appendages. Max wagged his tail, picking up on the happy atmosphere. Furthermore, Stone added, holding up a data crystal, we are establishing the Earth Coalition Canine Exchange Program. Any civilization in the Coalition that wishes to learn from humanity's experience with dogs will be welcome to do so. Already, 17 worlds have expressed interest in developing their own companion species programs, using Earth's methods of patience, kindness, and mutual respect. Tom looked down at Max, remembering that tense first meeting aboard the Coalition ship. Who would have thought, he whispered to his dog, that you would end up being Earth's best ambassador? The formal ceremony concluded with what had become a new tradition. Commander Stone's puppy and Max demonstrating the shake hands command to the assembled dignitaries. The simple gesture of trust between species had become a symbol of the new relationship between Earth and the Coalition. As the assembly dispersed, Tom watched alien children cautiously petting therapy dogs, Coalition scientists discussing training techniques with K-9 handlers, and diplomatic teams planning joint space exploration missions with search and rescue dogs already in training for zero-gravity operations. Commander Stone approached Tom, his puppy bouncing happily at his feet. You were right, Captain Walker. We came looking for weapons and found family instead. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson humanity had to teach us. Max looked up at the commander and offered his paw one more time. As Stone took it, his scales glowing with warmth, Tom smiled. Sometimes the best way to prevent a war wasn't through weapons or threats, but through the simple, powerful truth of a dog's unconditional love.